okayfm 101.7.
Honorable Clement Apaak, Busa South, Emrasibejani, Okom Rasibejofia. Wodi akotini ye, ewo committee ayapa wo mse wo monhwe Ghana mumsiansem na wo monka wo Emrasibejofie or your deputy ranking member education committee on Ukraine so public account committee wodi mu akotene pa ewo mu a wo favorite meat eye aponchekoko kraman so wo national president no dog meat eaters association president honorable Martin
kwame amo me jinso me chia etiefo nyina ane Ghana fo na o wan cry and so okayfm there yenim se chan NTN e wo baby a enti me peso so for Busa South
sir
from BC Doninga Bedema omu nyina etio nti omo se memma wache e wo gulimo eti kwame amo ma tefiso Luke
sa pepepe
na me post no what is so me a global president
you global and limited to Ghana
ti me wo representatives e wo country be na region be ti me reps our Africa, Asia, North America, South America, Australia. Ti me post no so cuz I post we there
international president
global president
global not just we are seeing afana baby o
obia achimfo nyina wo nyina hyamase
anyway there anofom brajo ona bo fata
we there menim se nya wo pe sa na ba no enti we there me dey acho but sansi dia we kwase Isaac nfam ya ofa memfa
wadaruma mi repeat biom enti se me bo tie biom a honorable Clement Apaak Busa South Emrasibejani deputy ranking member education committee of Emrasibejofie sasu di akotini wo your friend saying public account committee and then the president global president at the dog meat eaters association honorable Martibium
bena kwa me amejo so me chia ono apanfo nyina ne Ghana fo nyina omutie
ye na ye jo so se wona mu apomu bokode
nyame adom ye ho ye so nyame bi ache
ye da nyame
de tia se die o se ye da nyankopon wase ndade nyina nso enim se enkoye no how ne o yawo abenedie ohia adukuriye amamo bonia akufado ba o NPP government eri abaye no yegumana yesu na yewoni daso se yakopon adawroma obeji Ghana fie yo mama beba ebekwa nyama edi Ghana fie
yo honorable na we anra World Teachers Day mampeni na nada dankwa kufado ene education minister ne abede chire ko ase yemfa nkomo no emfiri wo se mampeni se aban no is committed in investing in teachers so far so good president eka nasem na we ine chire yi na mo so onya hwe mampeni ankase enu muton wakase dia wo ye yina chire no still they say nothing had been done. Honorable Mawu na mache da gumani egu so na mo yesa na se asa akokwata kira kroma dan ya enye nefe yemfa free teachers ansa ne aba education as a whole
kwame me da si bebre se wa ma me kwan se me so me nche ma adwen emfa enra ye nyina nim se na ye World Teachers Day di kan no e wo se bitumi editudwa yeah, flag bearer, John Lamane Mama, they issue statement in commemoration of World Teachers Day. Obo teacher for Abaso. o show mun kurai se ejumade a mo ye e dia bo Ghana nyame adom na se Ghana for sa de tumi mana wo ba nyoma do na TT won emma wo muntumi enye enka ho sira mo pe no no nyoma sisi kwan no obi yefu ho osanso ka say so hwe ye 2020 manifesto na itintim nyoma bebre egumu ye ba ebeye ama education ye ama teacher for ama omonso no de omo ye no yetumi akira wondo se ye ni aso nti o se mitumi edi eno edika etuga na ye nyina yenim se teacher for de mfaswa omusu ema oman no ye kase ebetu amo kapa de a enya de a yebetumi etua wonka mi kan omunti omadawruma ena wo eni wo yakwa mi amu ase bo udin agana bibi biara obi anim se una wo yakwa mi amu nyesa anka obi a me papa free ekurasi kitwa ye fere doninga anda Ghana for do na kwa anti doninga tida menso ene ma be nipa utimi frebe me didi nkita ho pusu akasi amekwa me dia to me ho no metimi enya akwanya na me de kire de na ye teacher for adaruma me ambiti me maame o retired teacher me old man also ono so na o ye teacher ansa na okodom aye juma social welfare. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that the teacher is the cornerstone of every society that is seeking to develop. Because without the teacher, no, you cannot have a journalist, you cannot have an engineer, you cannot have a medical doctor, you cannot have an architect, you can't have a pilot. A teacher for enene yes abe nipa ti ya wose yedi obuo ene die sefata edema won abribia. We want to commend the teachers for all that they have been doing, the sacrifices that they have been sacrificing day in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out, under very difficult working conditions and under very terrible working environment to ensure that we continue to produce the needed human resources. That is what we need to propel us forward as a society. Teachers should be the most rewarded in terms of salary. Because teachers people in any other profession, not medical doctors, not engineers, not architects, not CEOs, not politicians, not MPs, not even the president. The teacher should receive the best conditions of service, and the teacher should also have the best working conditions. Because but our manners are, but we can look at other countries for best practices where the teacher has been put in the center of everything, where the conditions of service of teachers are the best, where the working conditions of teachers are the best. Just say nim, just o man betum power na ejina enwumasua. But yaka come Ghana anti sao. Me kisa one minua kitwa Reverend Tim Fojo. Oh, Deputy Minister for Education, Edin Komo. And I did a course for Western region and so no. Then you had any assault history. Come in 7 p.m. Yakaka or and then a crack. It is not true.
Honorable,
And I can show you and demonstrate why most of the statements made it is not reflected on what is going on the ground.
Oh, Honorable Kasa, Wadaroma.
And you know, for example, Mampeni Eka said he has invested in education more than any other government. Was also Eka said he has invested in teachers in terms of improving their well-being and conditions of service. I mean, that is far from the truth. Sure, it is one thing to make budgetary allocations. Now, we do budget about parliament. Now, you get to now, with the appropriations bill about. Now, you get to. But it's another thing to actually release the funds and the resources towards those policies now. Ujina so, any budget ne buy ya approval. Are you aware? Say na Mampeni na pound for ewa omubo se. Kase omo de omo ya dia mano. Unim say Christian Adapoku. A registrar for the National Teaching Council. Just a day before the National Teachers Day, I grantee interviews. And now the Tuja said over 10,000 teachers have applied and have been given the needed documentation to leave the Republic of Ghana to go and teach abroad. But like I said, the UK Foreign Service and the UK Ministry of Education, based on documentation on Uwe has confirmed that in fact 16,000 Ghanaian teachers have undergone processes towards leaving the shores of this country to go and teach in the UK. But when you say 10,000 here, quite higher than Abedown. I mean, is it not clear that the reason why teachers are now planning to leave this country in droves are these numbers that we are hearing? Unprecedented, only to the UK, Yanti, or Australia, or Nigeria, and another South Africa, and Rwanda. Is it not clear that the reason why they are leaving this country is as a result of the poor conditions of service and the poor working conditions? It is a Mampeni. I could say, oh no, why, way. He has made the teaching attractive. He has made all of these investments. The mere announcement by one of his own appointees, say over 10,000 teachers are leaving, no, negates everything that the president and the minister and the government are saying with regards to the claim. Say they have improved both teaching conditions and conditions of service for the Ghanaian teacher. Come on and say, teachers, through their unions, they have what we call collective agreements. A year contractor, or money, buying a sign. And just yesterday, NAT, executive committee member, a media network, so he said that out of 23 allowances, a war collective agreement now, money buying a sign. Only 3 of the 23 are being fulfilled by the government, which means that 20 different allowances. And he mentioned specifically one that he said was very, very important, a car maintenance allowance. Government has not been meeting those obligations. So how can you tell me that you have improved the conditions of service of teachers when you are only giving them 3 out of 23 different allowances that you have signed to and agreed to provide for them. And so, that teachers are leaving this country in droves, as Dr. Christian Adapoku, the government appointee, somebody who is in charge of the National Teaching Council, agency under the Ministry of Education. Kwame, look, let's call a spade a spade. But we look at the magnitude of what you are doing, the impact and the outcome. And the outcomes do not support the claim that Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, NPP government, their Minister for Education, Deputy Ministers are making. One, when you speak about enhancing the teaching and working environment, you must first look at the conditions of service of the teachers, as I've indicated. And the conditions of service of the teachers are nothing to write home about. And that is why the teachers are leaving the country. And then you must also look at the working conditions.
Where the quickly answer no be ku animu no. Wada answer no be ku animu no. Obi nso believe say aduane a onu e be hye no toto e be hye. Obi wo regardless of the obeyama ni na no. Ebi a eyese nani na nso but still person change environment. Ebi a na on say economics e ka bibi say customers preference. Ebi a na wonya change of taste. Our person or call another product so. It does not mean say be they are all enjoying one po or per bat or person was the same.
And also sama ibit miaka. But in the case of the Ghanaian teacher, no, and what I know, and I've spoken to them, say Ufre and Yokabunu, not that president. Ufre not president, Reverend Isaac. Ufre CCP. Ufre president of CHAF. Ufre president of the Ghana Basic School Head Association. Any stakeholder will tell you, sir, what we are witnessing no, is not as a result of the mere search for alternative greener pastures. It is as a result of the deteriorating conditions in the teaching and learning environment. It is as simple as that. It's not that different from the in terms of nurses, a doctor for, a teacher for, also a abekam. And it is obvious. What also even the inflation, say food inflation, over 45%. At the time that we say we have instituted even phase 2 of planning for food and jobs, on the basis of that alone, what it means, they say, teacher Nina Ketriano, so 40% as a result of inflation. Hey, who I will say, na Ketriano web page, why say no, but no, inflation, we are 40%. It is now 60%. Now look at the cost of living. 60% of a salary that is already inadequate, How do you expect the teacher to be happy and joyous over such conditions of service? And a medical boss, allowances, 23. Now, only 3 out of 20. So I can't say I don't, the exam grade. That's a total mark, 23. Now, when you're 3, what pass you to a failure? Yes, in fact, if you listen to some of the interviews granted by the teachers themselves, the teacher leadership now, and then they are paying for a cano. The teachers have told us clearly that the reason why they are leaving is because of the poor conditions of service and the poor working conditions. It's as simple as that. This about it here, won't you? No find you. Now the BI say and reflect it on the ground. No, when you can enjoy tea. Because of kind of sign a teacher for a show before. It annoys the teachers to only make catch. Don't try and make claims that their conditions have improved when they know that their conditions have not improved. When you do that, we show more before even the more. If you are not but I was about to just mention one or two issues to do with the working conditions, because we have conditions of service, and the conditions of service, have to do with teacher for or my allowances, any professional development and assist for. But you know, because from teacher for now, interviews, yati teacher union leaders, and then assist for conditions of service, so. In fact, the good one I say the collective agreement between NAT and government, it expired last month, August. The year, there is currently no condition, contract between government and the teachers. As we are speaking, there is no collective agreement. But by this time, a new collective agreement should have been signed between the teacher unions and government. That is yet to happen. But let's look at the working conditions. Working conditions, Akadia, Emma, a teacher for no, Omusu, Omuikumano, Omutimiano, said a sepata. Yaka Yekai, Yekangi curriculum, 2019 ABC, public basic school, Bakopra, and Ghana. Oh, wait, Miaka. So, all the books for all subjects from KG to primary 6, based on the new standard-based curriculum, is taking effect in 2018. As we are speaking today, it is not happening. Ebio, Debi Amika said the entire public basic education our Ghana the Timika say you free and it's a abai aji a canning in asa. And Sakano government has taken over on behalf of the parents through the capitation grant. But as we are speaking, do you know that for 7 terms, which is over 2 years, government has not remitted capitation grants to public basic schools? And it is this capitation grant, and I editor attendance register, editor chalk, or they say sports, cultural activities. Puno anase puma anase nkunya bugu ana ye dia pe carpenter amana be ye se dino aye dilapidated na cracks abedemu a na ye dia pe mason amana be ye kan won clear capitation grant 7 terms textbooks anyhow financial deficit schools no do na so kwa there is no furniture. It is the working conditions of teachers, has also deteriorated. And these are the realities on the ground. It is they should address these issues and stop praising themselves when we are not seeing the output. Commensurate with their talk. They should walk the walk. That is the reality on the ground. These are the terrible conditions. Senior high school, I don't know the issues of the erratic academic calendar. School, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. School. Now, what type of system is this? When I'm say free senior school is free, you say that you are providing every student with a free core textbook. Come and do your checks. It is not happening. The students are not getting the free core textbooks as promised under the program. You say that you are absorbing fees, including library fees, including ICT fees. Since 2017, that this program was implemented, not even one person or one city has been remitted to any secondary school in the Republic of Ghana to cover library and ICT fees. Infrastructure deficit continues to be a problem. Look, I will challenge him. I have a document. I am challenging Reverend Timfordwo to a public debate. In fact, I want the minister himself, Dr. Yao Edutum, to meet me in a public forum. I will bring documents from our era. He should bring documents. Let's look at basic education. Let's look at secondary education. Let's look at tertiary education. Let's look at the investment. Let's look at the outcomes. Let's compare oranges to oranges and apples to apples. Come here, and go. I've gone from in himself a former year. Tertiary colleges of education. It is a mini team for the workers and colleges of education and more allowance and Obikato become. Are you aware that teacher training allowance are bind to Wamoka papa? The current year 1 colleges of education students, Alawano, are bind to Wamoka 7 months. Year 2, are bind to Wamoka, committee 17 months. Year 3, final year 4, no. Abando Muka Alawano, 9 months.
Wow.
9 months. Are you aware that Alawano, yetimubi na akomu feeding? Na yedidie tietria other ancillary fees, no. The akano na yedi amankwara. It is the akonkwara no hono. It is not even up to 200 Ghana cities. That is what it is. The alawana ya ka no. The ekoti and Korano Butumuno. Kwame, ete de bikwa and so 200 Ghana cities. Enumpono and Komo. When him say abayi bayi, Esa say Oka say we are going to reinstate nursing and teacher training allowance in Ntino. Wamuka say yene teacher for any nurse for student nurses and student teachers. You know Mandi Ediano de Yampo Masam Yenipa Bon for but Omuna Moba they would reintroduce the allowance and then they would also maintain the open door recruitment policy, which means that there wouldn't be a quota. Because other kaya na quota no ewo ho. And I can say, given that we have now elevated our colleges of education to tertiary, no, over the year tertiary students, and you know, we are going to augment the scholarship secretariat as well as the student loan fund to increase funding to them so that the college of education students, and nursing trainees, they can also apply and access these funding facilities like Omo brothers and sisters in technical universities, any traditional universities. It increased enrollment to 60%. Emma and Corado Duanka on Betnefie Uncle Munya Quine and yet teachers and other nurses, woman in our admission. When this government took over after the campaign to reinstate the Alawa and to maintain that open door policy of recruitment, because of their inability to meet their obligations, Kwame, do you know that the quota system in terms of recruitment into nursing training and teacher training has been reinstated? I know the Omon Kama won't you. We know colleges of education at Caneno, woman to be freshers 400. Government has directed them to take less. Some of them are taking, instead of 400, no, they are taking 300 and 250. Because government is struggling to do what? To pay the alawa. And once you have reintroduced the quota, no, it means many of the students that we are producing from even the free senior school, free senior school now, they don't have opportunities to go to tertiary because tertiary institutions, you know, we don't have the capacity to absorb all of them. And now we are reintroducing a quota system that is further reducing the number of spaces available to them in the teacher colleges as well as the nursing training colleges. Kwame, what kind of policy confusion is this? So on the one hand, we have said we are taking away the financial barrier. Secondary school. But on the other hand, no, we are putting a barrier in front of them when they have completed secondary school. So what is the point? These are the issues. As the one you mean there, say we are out there for not that. For a teacher for say they make a lesson of one back. And you know, meanwhile, maybe I was a buying enemy, Emma Sicano, Epo education sector. Because how can you fail to pay capitation grants? Because as I'm speaking to you today, the cost of basic education to the Ghanaian parent is now higher than what government is paying to ensure that students in secondary school, quote unquote, get free education. So invariable, you know, because government has failed to meet its obligations, as I've narrated, you know, particularly at the basic level, you know, it's not only jeopardizing public basic education, but it's actually making access to public basic education an issue. Because Chokuna headmaster no 1 year second fantono. Attendant register na 1 year second fantono. En konyana a buying and supply no. Books na any hono. How for the matter? It's the parents that are buying. This is the secret. Because the system must run. The headmaster says they be a loans. Eddie run schools, you know. I've been down. I heard that unit. Many have also taken services, carpenter services, masonry services on loans. They're down. Until now, what they do is that they tell the students, so Mukofia, Moba, Monfa Chokomra, Moba, Monfa Wimra, Moba, Monfa Wimra. None of what there one school, it was even in the news. School no can say, answer a beg you school, in the public basic school, no. The people has to come with his own furniture as a prerequisite for admission. So my penny, there was BB Ekoso. Is this the type of educational system we want to run? And you know, as I said again, I am throwing a challenge to my senior brother, Dr. Yao Edutum, to meet me, Dr. Clement Apaak. Doctor. We are both educationists. America, and I have Ghana. One for the documents, the documents, public, all the TV cameras, all the radio stations will be present. We would argue and debate the issues and present facts and figures, and we would see whether the record of the useless Akufo-Addo-led Bawumia NPP government is anything to compare to the visionary leadership of John Dramani Mahama. Come on, when was the last time you heard, say, free school uniforms were being distributed in the Republic of Ghana since 2017? When was the last time you heard that free exercise books were being distributed across the country? Come in, free sandals. When was the last time you heard? And all these are very serious interventions to reduce the burden on the parents. For the yenim samu bre yenim se nkoye na mo so mo gbom homodene ti odo ma se pa
honorable
enya ban na aya hwe teacher for no na wotema
honorable we
dey na omunim se djuma mudi no omundi emma onipa da se ni nko a enyankopon edjuma so they are willing to endure and to sacrifice under very atrocious conditions of service and very appalling working conditions.
Well, there a quick one in a minute or two now. I'm saying, come on, we know ba. And a Reverend Aziko Wusu, not President Krenra, also so there two we say. Kebeya wa mo ya dom kokoko undeserved areas no. Domu nya special motivation pa ntinka 20% gross salary kra no a. Ye fan kan wo de wo pa say wom de na exceptional case enkomo we ya gba na en wan set on now ye nya sama wo mo
Kwame say o share ye 2020 manifesto na say the John Dramani Mahama a flag bearer the statement no no o kan ya o boss no we have captured it there. We have it as a policy proposal because we know, and look, common sense and best practices in any part of the world will tell you. Abocha yeka, you know, abocha nyani na New York, America, nyani wana say New York and I say Los Angeles and I say San Diego, and Canada, nyani wana Vancouver, LA, Ottawa. Yewa unkrasu also. This is also Canada because of the nature of that country, how vast, you know. We have places, you know, towards the North Pole, and so for Nunavut, no money, Saskatchewan, no money, and so for very rural. So, what they have done in terms of the Canadian model, which I am more familiar with, is that those teachers who agree to take up appointments in those remote rural parts of the country, no, they are given additional incentives, and that is what we adopted. But it is still part of our manifesto, and I know we will repeat it. What we have planned to do, adopting the Canadian model and other best practices, is that if you are a teacher and you agree to go and teach in a deprived rural community, I am an MP of one of the poorest districts and constituencies in the Republic of Ghana. And that is why I am always very passionate when I speak. I see poverty beyond poverty that many Ghanaians can never imagine. That some of my constituents cannot even afford to buy soap to wash their clothes in 6 months. That there are communities where there is a school, and yet because of the lack of teachers, due to lack of accommodation, lack of facilities, you have only one teacher, or a teacher for KG to primary 4, lower primary. Just one teacher. It will help you resolve this type of challenge. What you do is that you incentivize the teacher by additional pay. There is a teacher in equity, and for the sake of this argument, the normal teacher's pay, they 3,000. Onwa obeje tunse obeko doninga anase bedembilisi akwa trade no. You give him the 3,000 plus halves. In addition, you make sure that you put up accommodation, furnish accommodation. You provide solar if the national grid has not reached that community. Now, one man on TV. Let us you make a motorbike available. So that they are once a one or also make me a big town over the weekend. I got the supplies. And then you also sign this one, all of this, you have signed an agreement, a special agreement. You also have a component where you let them know that when they serve in that rural community for 4 years, they are also entitled to a government-funded scholarship for further studies. I mean, the teachers would go on the call. And these are some of the things that the NDC would do when we come to power. And these are best practices. So, you must put in place policies and put there the needed resources. Sikano, here. Don't spend our money $20,000 an hour. Now we flying like an Arabian king. Now we go with about teacher for issue.
Honorable. Yeah, the best na ya best rather say president essence omo ya de na say wo mo ye ni ya no makamfo e bia ne say free SHS ya opposition ya mo so manugusu yi eno na ya akono ya fa ma se twa mo ka se fa private schools enkan wi na de a enye yi am kan wan tem na afre de call ba say ye fa private schools enkan wi
Kwame eyaje we ni kwede e ba ko o kare kwere nso a eya na ama nyakopon ni age NBC enka wo bibiada do mama enka wo bibiada ashedin kitenza wo bibiada Dr. Apaak enka wo bibiada Professor Nana Jane Opoku enka wo bibiada say free senior school in we never said that. Now the Constitution, 1992 Constitution, no. The authors of that Constitution, those who put that document together, no. They are the forebears of NDC. We put it there. Say at that time, no, they said that consultative assembly now, the late China Pio Ayatam. No, no. So they refused to participate. That's why we went and brought, or they say, butchers, and our hairdressers, and our bungo boys, and then our sifo. They are too eclectic to be part of such a group. They did not participate. We wrote that constitution. Whatever is in there can be attributed to us. And we put all of those things there. Our argument was very simple. So let's put in place the structures. And when we adopted the progressive approach, it was even announced. Mampeni crowd issues to say, Akufo-Addo is on record, and I can send you the links where he praised John Dramani Mahama and the NDC for introducing the free senior school policy. Yes, I will send you the links. It's documented. The difference is progressive versus wholesale. Their argument was that we had to make it wholesale and not progressive. We started the progressive by taking away 13 cost elements from the prospectus, library fee, entertainment fee, and as for. We took those. And then we also had a scheme to support brilliant but needy students. And we were building the e-blocks, also completing various structures to expand the physical access. Look, access is not encumbered by only finance. Money is not the only factor, or another cost is not the only factor that affects access. The fiscal infrastructure is also a variable. Because if you don't expand the fiscal space, and even it is freer, there is a limitation to the number of students that can sit in a classroom, or be in a science lab, or be in a library. Come here, I'm doing some work. I'll publish the results. If you look at the number of students who fail to take up their places in secondary school after BEC, so in spite of the current arrangement, you know, and do so move BEC and after junior high school, they don't transition to secondary school. And it's the same thing too between secondary school and tertiary. I'm doing some work on that. And Kwame, that is where you are able to see the outcome and the impact of policy. Right. Because there should be policy synergy. You know, if you are making, if we say that basic education is free, in spite of all the problems, which I think should be addressed, secondary education is free, then you should make it possible for the beneficiaries to be able to progress from one state to the other without a barrier.
Honorable, Sankomo word, ya bepe brena, ye BM said there will be what's the open fight for only joining team for your education, no? Ya bepe team for your deputy, Minister Nankasa. Because in teams, I'm in debate now, or because of minister. I want the minister himself, so that there wouldn't be any escape route. Yeah, that's the pay. Sorry, here. Booster for the sun, you know. That's the booster way. Who you know, why you pay when I got a pempe with the netto for mana, we're being now, what's the sun at Yogum? That is the booster way. Total defeat. That is what I want. Thank you, sir. Honorable Clement Apaak, Yabusa South Mrasibe Jenny, and deputy ranking member. Education Committee of Parliament and so Public Account Committee.
OKFM 101.7.